2 weeks ago, when musician Connor Deegan from Fontaines, DC visited the school to give a talk about the tonality of Irish landscapes, I introduced him via a little anecdote about a train ride I last year undertook through the landscape, of Vienna to Zurich, leading me to pose a few questions about how to theoretically understand the significance of mountains today. Mountains, I suggested, with the help of another Austrian, Ludwig Wittgenstein, used to be part of the givenness of the world. They used to be just there, motionless in the background, everlasting constants, contrasting a human world in and of flux. But today, these mountains, as we discussed, as Stigo in his own way told the story of, are no longer just there. They too are in a state of flux. They are being rapidly, fiercely, forcefully, perhaps even transformed by climate change, threatening the very givenness of the world that Wittgenstein so emblematically saw them as signifying, exemplifying. Or to put it different, than the given is giving away day by day as new record-breaking temperatures are recorded on Earth. Diminishing of snow, loss of glacier mass, impacts on water cycles, biodiversity and ecosystems, and a violent increase in landslides, flash floods are just some of the ways that mountains today are being transformed by climate change. Again, what we discussed, what we posed as a question is what happens when the eternal turns transient, when the constant becomes inconstant? What happens when that which couldn't change changes? What are your coordinates, so to say, when you know that those slides are due to your own species being's actions? Now, what I didn't chronicle in my introduction 2 weeks ago was how I about a year later returned to Austria and had the possibility of posing this exact question actually to Martin Rauch, when I had the great pleasure of visiting his new Lehm Ton Erde workshop factory in Slins in Vorarlberg. Having walked through this mind-blowing, at least for me, because I'm not an architect, mind-blowing factory workshop space, learning about its trajectories, discussing building technologies, ecologies and aesthetics, me and my friend George ended our visit on the top of the building, gazing at the bordering mountains just a few hundred meters away. I don't know if Martin remembers, but describing both my fascination and my fear of mountains, how they are disappearing, I asked him how to deal with the disappearance of them. And the picture he painted, I thought, was almost too good to be true. Well, Martin said, seeing the mountains he had grown up in close proximity to crumble in landslides, he said he gathered the fallen earth and the fallen soil in his hands and used it to rebuild houses in a way that would allow for less mountains to disappear in the future. To this day, of course, maybe we can ask him, I'm not sure how literal he meant it, but the image it generated in my mind was certainly strong. And if that was the case, it was because what was argued, at least the way I understood it, was equally as technical, practical as it was philosophical or existential. To me, it sounded as if Martin wasn't just rebuilding the world, but in some sense also rebuilding himself, or rebuilding at least an idea of what it means to be human in the Anthropocene. And if I was fascinated by this argument, this image, then it is because architects today appear to me at least, as an outsider kind of dude, to find themselves even more climatically fragmented, as I call it, than many other professionals do. Soil sickness, land sickness, mountain sickness, building sickness, as I recently co-investigated in this school with a bunch of very clever MA students in the course Climatic Divisions, then architects today find themselves in several situations and in several ways morally divided, ethically fragmented, existentially splintered, when they realize the imprint that their practice, their profession, their discipline leaves on Earth. And because Martin's answers to my question, to my silly little observation, you can call it, so strongly encapsulated a way of navigating in these disorientations as both a human and as an architect, I thought it absolutely necessary to invite him here to our Live Terrains lecture series, something we are lucky enough to be able to witness together here today. But what practice, more precisely, over the last 35 years, Martin, born in 58 in Vorarlberg, Austria, and his 1999 founded company, Lehm Ton Erde, has rediscovered, rejuvenated, redeveloped the 1,000-years-old techniques of building with clay and rammed earth, a technique he was introduced to not as an architect originally, but through his training as a ceramicist and as a sculptor. Since then, several projects have been realized in collaboration with renowned artists, renowned architecture offices, enriching this ecologically sustainable methodology of building with rammed earth, creatively, aesthetically, and technically. Among several nominations, prizes, and awards for his work, Martin has received the International Prize for Sustainable Architecture in 2008, the Global Award for Sustainable Architecture in 2022, and since 2010, he has been UNESCO Honorary Professor of the Chair of Earth and Architecture. As I previously mentioned elsewhere, then architecture today is both a battlefield and a laboratory of ecology, confronting architects with a double responsibility. First, architects must learn to rebuild the world in a way that maintains the planet's conditions of habitability. And second, the aesthetic labor of architects is crucial in helping us sense, feel, and of course imagine a world, an earth quaking beneath our feet. And I believe, as few others, Martin Rauch's practice proves that these two imperatives can be synthesized without sacrificing one or the other. For that reason, we are again extremely proud at Aarhus School of Architecture to have Martin with us here today, followed by a conversation with our own postdoc Heidi Merrild, and mark the last talk of this year's series of Live Terrains. A lecture series, we can note, that in less than a year have managed to establish itself as a platform that continues to attract international, let's say world-leading even, academics, artists, and professionals to Aarhus, with each lecture, as today, fully attended partly by the public. Let me therefore use this occasion to say how grateful, of course, we are, not least to those coming from the outside, from your support or for your support in making each of these events a special something or something special. We are looking forward to returning in February with more equally exciting talks. They are already planned. Lectures you can stay informed about on our new website that we have just launched, archdk/liveterrains. However, until then, before we get so far, please help me give a warm welcome to Martin Rauch here at Aarhus School of Architecture as this year's final keynote speaker in our Live Terrains lecture series. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Nikolaj, and thank you. I'm glad first time to be here in Aarhus. It is, and it was really the meeting, if he has visited our workshop, and we are standing on the terrace and look at the mountain, and then I know also his work, and so yeah, it is really a very interesting aspect. And the introduction cannot be better for you, from the mountain. And this is my first image, and because the wind, weather, frost and rain is the biggest sculpture of our world. Our world is really always changing, and the human impact with water, rain, climate change has a real impact, a big impact in the erosion and sedimentation. And this erosion and sedimentation of the mountains is always present. We cannot stop it. We can, and this material, because the stone gets always smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it gets clay, mud, and this material sedimented, and on this material the plants, our food, the wood is growing. And so these two material, earth and plants, are the future building material for our houses. And this material is mud, stone, sand in different mixes. This is really gold in our hand. This is our material, what we can build. And the human has always built with this, because it was the mud, the earth, the soil under our feet was the building material. Like here in Morocco, it was the material, it comes down from the mountain. And if this house is not used again, it goes back and the plants grow up. For me, is this picture a happy picture, because the circle is always round. It's very small. Erosion, building, and the construction, and it can always reused 100 times and more with no problem. There is no down recycling. And we know all in the history, if a earth building has a good boots and a good hut, then it is really long life. It can work, and it is only it is, and everywhere we have 1 million of earth houses. Here in Switzerland, 200 years old, rammed earth house, 2 or 3 story high, and it is restored. The people mostly don't know that they are living in an earth house, but it is still standing long time. And 1/3 of the population are living in earth houses, and we know that this. So I can say that the earth is the most important material for building system. And in the last 200 years, we have forgot to develop it anymore during the industrialization. Now, this is my introduction, and I come a very short picture to my person. I come from a very creative family. My father was painter, my mother was farmer. From that time, I get the artist line, and from the other, the economic or the other, the two. We have all make our food ourselves. We have lived really in the mountain, very economical. And then I want to get ceramist and make oven. I created a kiln for firing. And in that part, I was creating mud bricks and fire this small temperature, less temperature, higher temperature, more temperature. I want to develop how much I have to fire a brick that it can go back, and it is strong enough, but it can go back to the ground. And there in a this was the work as a student, as ceramist, to make the question why we are fire ceramic, why we are fire bricks. And in that time, I was also in Africa, because my sister and brothers are work there. I visit them. We built kilns with the local soil, because it was important for the woman that they can make better pots and save wood for firing, because they had fired the pots in a open fire. So in this time, I see also a lot of earth construction houses in Senegal and in Zambia and in Cameroon. And In 1983, I make my diploma work only as a ceramist with no fired elements. It was the start of Lehm Ton Erde. Lehm Ton Erde is the name of my company. It was the name of my diploma. It was, these are 3 words, mud, clay, and earth, in translation. But it is the symbol, the mud or the lehm is the symbol for the technical solution. And ton is the symbol for design, architectural design, coloring, beauty in architectural design. And Erde, earth, is the symbol for sustainable, healthy building, the political issue in this part to build with earth. And for me, it was always important to these 3 aspects to be in a very good balance. For me, it's not enough. It is wonderful and beauty, but absolute not ecologic. Or other time, it is very beauty, also very good make, high technical, but it is not really nice. So it has to be in a balance. So I started always with hand. We are always work together. With my brother, we built these first houses. It was a conglomerate of experiment. And if you do it yourself, you can manage a lot. And then, but I was very happy that 2019 I won a competition, artwork for a big hospital. And my idea was to create an earth wall, 180 meter long, 7 meter high, like a sculpture in a house, in a hospital. And I won the competition, and I had the problem that the client has say you have to build it. And so I started to get some workers, and we do this in 6 or 8 months, build this project. And look past, this was the most important project for me and the most difficult project. But then a lot of, and in that time it was really pushing, and I built my own workshop with earth and metal, and I think it was important for me to find a modern solution to build with earth in a modern way. Connect with different material, with glass, metal, with concrete, with wood, and natural material, natural colors, and so on. And there are so much different project was coming, because if you can touch it, then you can believe it, and then new ideas comes, and so different architects has idea. And one was this Versöhnungskirche in Germany. It was a church. It was very. It was planned as a concrete building, and but the client doesn't want a concrete building in the border of East and West Germany, and so we come to the solution to build this with the local soil from the ground, with the crushed bricks from the old church. And this was also a normal small wall, but here it was a problem of logistic. Also to scale up the earth, it is not so easy. To ramming it is very simple, but to build 7 meter high and different radian and so on, and but so it was always, we learn a lot of these projects, And if we have done something, then a new solution was coming. And after 25 years of experience only with earth, I wanted to build my own house. And there I make the question, how has to be a modern architectural design for a European standard? We know all over the world there are so many earth construction, old earth construction, but very less or no modern earth construction. Why? Because during the industrialization, the earth construction get to a very poor material, and during the industrialization, where every new solution is the better as the old solution, the image of the earth construction was really go in the down. And then before this, poor and rich, they have built with earth, with the local material, because transport was difficult, it was expensive. So, and later with then, also this was, that was not developed anymore. And always only after crisis, after the First War, Second War, there was a small renaissance of earth construction. But in the 50 or 60 years, it was really gone down. And that was, and for me was to find a solution to create, like from the image, African hut with a European standard, like this. Because also a very nice, beautiful hut is really a wonderful material. If it's done very nice, then it is really good. And it is. And the second part was for me that I use only material if this building go back into the ground, the water get no pollution. It is only material. It is really healthy, or you can remove it easily. You can separate it easily. And this is most important. And I was lucky that I couldn't use 100% earth from the excavation. The excavation was my material. It was Flüschgestein. It was 250 million years old. If the Alps was created, the material eroded in a big lake, and this lake was moving out. This is the Flüschriegel from Switzerland to Vienna, and this was eroded material, get it to stone, and if I dig it out and I separate, it breaks in stone and mud and lime. And this material I can use 100% with no mixing for building the house. For me, is this always a really fantastic situation. If you can make a shattering and fill in the separated material from the excavation, ram it by hand or with small machinery, and you build up a sculpture. And in the first, I have created this plan together with Roger Boltzhauser, and it was, we have look as a sculpture, from the architecture, and it is it was very interesting to go to the limit of the earth construction, to the limit. What is the limit of earth construction? And if you are co-planner, if you are the client, and if you are the owner, if you are the contractor, you can make a lot of experiment. You can to discuss the responsibilities for yourself. And for us was very important that it should be poor material, but in a very high quality from produce and in a very nice surfaces. And also the white walls inside is clay plaster with white clay. And the staircase is only rough rammed earth together with ceramic tiles. And and important is how we can build rammed earth houses also in our climate. We have also in Austria, we have 1,800 centimeters rain per year, and it is not protected. The rain comes to the earth, and it works the same like the mountain. The structure of the stone and mud is rammed together, and if the rain is coming there, the fine material wash out. It gets a rough structure, and then we make some truss lime or brick lines. It is like a speed breaker. If eroded deeper, then the water cannot move in very deep and destroys the wall. And very interesting is this, because the rammed earth is stone with mud, and the mud is like the kit or the glue. You ram it together, and if the rain comes to the wall, the mud expanded, and the water doesn't go deep into the wall. And we know that everywhere they had used these parts. This was my workshop. On the left side, there is I used bricks because it is a ceramic workshop, so I used bricks. Otherwise, in the historic, they use sometimes stones or other materials. And yes, this calculated erosion changed the surface. And it is sometimes more a psychological issue as a technical issue. Because a lot of architects, I work together with them, and they are sometimes very interested. But if it comes to the talk about the calculated erosion, that a building can change a little bit, then everybody is afraid. It is because water, because mud, clay, earth is not waterproof. And if something is not waterproof, we be afraid. But that the material is not waterproof is the best issue, is the most best quality of the earth construction, because you can recycle it so many times, you can reuse it, you can let it go back with no problem. And this positive issue, we have to change our mind. And so these houses are now 20 years old and has a less small roof, but it has a hut, and it has a good foundation, and it works. On the west side, there is more rough. On the east side, you see no erosion. It is like the house, like it stands in the natural. And so everywhere where we build, mostly we tried to use the local excavation. it doesn't matter if it is in Bordeaux in France, or it is in Athens, or it is in whatever. We can always use minimum 50 until 100% the local excavation. And this excavation, we separate it, we mix it together. Also if we have different excavations, we separate it, we mix it together, and like the winery, he makes with different reps a good wine. So we make with different excavations a good rammed earth material. And for that we produced, we have to develop new machinery and so on. And this on the front, this earth is coming from the mountain nearby, 500 or 2 kilometers far away. We built our factory only with the local excavation of the region. And 12-meter high walls rammed. This is the south facade. And that you can really also, it's load buried. It's a big structure with wood, and crane is loading on the earth walls. The earth walls are 60 centimeters thick, because it doesn't matter if you have thicker walls. And it is really strong. It is very good for the noise from the machinery to the neighbors. And we have created this big factory for this machine. I come later not to this earth machine. And it is a machine, is a long line, 50 meter long, is a shattering. The excavation is filled in, nivellation there, and rammed by rammers, because the rammer, it is very hard to do it by hand, or this was also 2012. I had a big project, the Ricula project in with Herzog de Meuron in Basel, and I know this factory is not possible to build all by hand. For that, we have to develop a machinery. It is like an earth plotter. This was the first sketch. The idea is very old, but with this project we could invest this machinery. And so it is a line, you ram it with the rammer, because to ram it by hand, it is too much work, it's too hard, it's not healthy, and for that we should use the machinery. And then we are put away the shattering, and then we cut this long wall in pieces, and so we have really massive earth blocks, only compacted excavation. And with this you move out from this shattering, let it dry, then bring it on the building site, and then you move with cranes these big solid blocks together to build up 3-story high, 4-story high, 60 centimeter thick wall, and it can really build in a big structure. And you create the architectural design in like blocks, like a Lego. Everybody know Lego. Then you fill this, and this was also the idea to find new solution from the static issue. So we created, or we planned oak frames, and these oak frames are an element with columns. These are so there. So we can use the windows whatever we want. It is no raster or system like this. So it was only also for us a self-experiment to future construction in earth construction. This is our office building. It is 3 stories high, load buried, no columns in there. It is only built in earth. And with this machinery, it is Roberta 1, we can build 7 centimeter thick wall or 85 centimeter thick wall with the same material. We fix only different tools. And this is what I want to say, that we should change the material, we should develop the technique, the tools, because in the evolution of the human, it is always important to create tools and not change the material, and to create tools to make your work healthy or make your work easier. We have now a good infrastructure by crane, by transportation. So this prefabricated system of big blocks is a reaction of a modern building system in earth construction. And so we have always different experience. There on the left, there is my workshop. I built it for 35 years, 35 years. And right is the Erden house. This is the new house, and this is isolated outside, and inside it is the rammed earth wall. You see, it's prefabricated with blocks, and because the water, it is also regular project is about 360 blocks, and the joints you can make wet with water, and you put the original material, you ram it in there, and so you don't see the joints. This is the potential of the earth, because it is not waterproof, because you can make it wet, you can repair it very well, you can ram it, you can make it smooth. It is handwork, but it is a wonderful material. You can really build very exact. This potential is only possible if we use not stabilized earth. That is Aldatura campus. We have also realized with Hans-Kopp Zemmerich, it is a building, office building for 350 people, and they wanted to have rammed earth outside and inside, and for the isolation is in the middle. And for that we developed new tools that we can produce these elements in one time. This is a complex machinery, the plotter the same, but with different tools. So you have really, with the basic machine, you can do it very different solutions. For me, I know that we build now these projects like we have produced for 80 years concrete buildings or cars or like this. The potential of to develop the machinery, the technique, it is not so big, but there is very interesting for future. Now I want to show you a project. It is still finished. Next week we have the opening. It is Campus St. Michael in Traunstein in Bayern, in there, created from Anna Heringer and Romstetter. And I work a lot with Anna Heringer together. And she had to make a master plan for this campus. And she wanted from the beginning to use, it should be a very sustainable building material. And from the beginning of the master plan, it was sure that it should be a rammed earth building. And the planning was started for 9 years, and next Monday it's the opening and it's finished. And I'm very happy about this building because it is gives a little bit a view where a European or other architectural design can be. This is only an idea, because for me it's very important that we should not say concrete is bad and we should change to instead of concrete build with earth. No, we should build in earth, but we should find a special architectural design for earth, and that we should deal with the limit of earth construction, with the limit from earth. Earth is much weaker as concrete. You cannot compare this together. But and for that it was it is massive blocks until 780 centimeter thick earth blocks. We produce this in the factory, and we put it up like really 4.5 ton, 4 tons heavy blocks lifting up with crane, and the water during the building is always an issue, and you see the joints, and so this was very it's a lot. Was nearly 1,000 elements. It was 1,820 tons of excavation. It was 53rd etaps, and it takes about 12 months, and all together is about 30,000 work hours. And this is the raw material, and you see that the earth, the concrete slab on the concrete ceiling is loaded on the earth construction, and where it was more load was coming from the roof, there we make a thicker wall, and the wall's thickness was dealt with the structural design. And if it is ever finished, then it's retouched, and it gives a very good feeling. You have so much mass in there. You have a wonderful climate, and outside there I was happy that I could now make one design with it is the Michael Flüge. Sorry, a little bit. My English is not so perfect. And what is very unusual is this really thick mass. Also this and there it is a old building there, and so it was lifting up, and there is a terrace on the roof. There is a garden, and you can walk up and can walk down on the other side. And that the raw material has really interesting potential. Also, the floor is cassine with mud and cassine stabilized, and so on. And there is also very interesting creation with tiles, what we make, or some paintings of the children, and so on. And here you see the calculated erosion. On the weather side, here is it. The structure will get much more rough, and there you see there we have a lot of small truss limes, and these truss limes are erosion breakers. There are speed breakers, so this structure will get no more rough. And here, because on this side is the most erosion of this building. So we used here a round corner, because a round corner is better as a sharp corner. So this reaction is like this, and so this is really coming from the earth, and you lift up the garden. And I think it is also interesting to build not so high, but you use the garden up there. And so it's also some other small projects. A small project is the altar of worms. It is to the 1,000-year-old jubileum. We could create with Anna Heringer this small altar, 5 tons. And it was it is small, but it is a very important project for me, because we built it together with the community. And so it was really interesting, experience. And a lot of people get first connection to the earth. Or other sculptures, projects, small projects, is like a sculpture for wood and earth. So, and now I come to the potential from earth construction with wood construction. We know wood as a building construction is now very usual in a sustainable way to build. Also high skyscraper 20 stories high, you can build it in earth, in wood. But what is this wood construction needs more mass, and for this it is the best place for office building in wood construction is the ceiling, in the ceiling. And with Herzog de Meuron we created a system, earth construction together with wood construction, that this in the ceiling is like small arches in rammed earth with the local material rammed in there. It is heavy, it is a good thermal mass, it is good for acoustic, and it is also good for fire protection. And then we had developed this, and to realize this building in Basel, Hortus, maybe somebody knows about that. It takes a lot of time to create new machinery, new technique, to realize 800 elements in a short time. In 100 days, we have to fill up 800 elements. So what I said, we have to develop the new tools to make earth construction to create this possible. And we make a local field factory under a tent. We install this machinery and ramp these blocks, this ceiling turned on, filled up, and we change this 180 degrees and lift it in the building immediately as the next day. and the earth is drying in the building. So it is a very high potential to produce this on the site. The elements was coming to the building site. We filled it, lifted, and then it was going. So like it is all prefabricated, and so it can be also built in a short time. And the combination of wood and earth is very good for future, because the wood has this part what the clay or the earth has not, and the earth has the potential what wood has not. And if we bring this together, this can be really new solutions. And we make also in our company a lot of research work, also in combination with university or with TU HTW in Stuttgart. This is arches, 3.5 meter long, 22 centimeter high, and we wanted to know it really. This is we make it 15 these pieces, and we test it how much this can be hold. That is not take so long. Yeah. So, and this is asymmetric pressing. It is about 15 tons. It is really a lot when you think on one place, you know? And then it is so we know the arch is really a wonderful geometry. We have forgot to work with this geometry, and if we can do it also with a sustainable material, why not? Or we make a lot of result to 3 meter high walls that the engineer can create and can calculate it with this material. I am not the engineer, but if we want to build a big structure, if we want to scale up the earth construction, it is really necessary that we can make a lot of research, that we can calculate it. And if we can calculate it, we can get more trust to this material, and we can find the right limit for the material. That is important. Not to try make it much more stronger like this. So it's important that we should deal with these limits. And there it is, all this experience helps us to go always more radical. This one, Haus Heinz, is the last small building. It is all in rammed earth, load buried, also from the ground, that it is really concrete free. There's no cement, no concrete there. It is also this ceiling, what I said, also the arches, what we have created, and so on. And I think I see so much potential in this work. And we should only do that. We should look, we should much more developed in this issue, and to find new design and new machinery. The people are the most important person. Also it is that they like to work with earth, and we have now in our company, we are about 35 people. They are very motivated, and this is the second machinery, is Roberta 2. It was 18 months in Bordeaux, in Sos, Frankreich. But it is always now a big human work. 60% of our value is personal cost, and but it is could show only very small parts of our production, and we are different works. I make also sometimes some art projects, and this is the 2 columns. I work with the erosion, with water, and so it's. This is what I like to create, to make experiment, to deal with this material, and to look what is the potential of the earth, and to develop this. And I say we have 200 years we have forgot to create with earth construction, and if we are in 10 years, maybe we have earth construction we don't know. That is, I think, we had we used 10 generations to forget the earth construction, and we have now not a half generation time to change our building system or all this, the challenge for climate change and everything. And earth construction is a very small part, but an important part. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. I don't know, is it too long?
No.
Or no?
Very, very exciting. And,
okay. I've always a little bit, I don't know the time.
Can you hear me, or do I guess I need this? Hello? Does it? Yeah. Okay. I will use it.
Me.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think you did all the speaking. And thank you very much. Super exciting, and definitely not too long in my perception. And but we have not so much time here to talk, but I will try to dig a little bit deeper into it. And just to frame it a little bit, then I was so lucky to visit Erden, the factory, and I talked a lot with one of the architects in the company, and so I'm actually doing a bit of research into how this project is could be seen as regenerative, and that's the topic I'm sort of working in. But if we just step a little bit back into the title of this lecture, and I just noted it said the art of rammed earth construction. So art and construction, and I think very much what you just showed us was the span or the dialogue between art and construction, and it seems very natural somehow. I do think, though, in the recent time and where we are today, and maybe I just need to step a little bit back of what you just said, because or what you have showed in all these slides is very impressive. It's very inspiring. But somehow I also feel there's a lot of challenges behind it. And also when we start to discuss upscaling, and I will just get back to that part, because I think that is perhaps one of the central challenges in this. And you also show that you work not only from the materials, the soil, the clay, the sand, but the challenges with the strength. I think some of the issues, storage of materials. Where do we get all this material for excavations? But in the meantime, until we use it, you develop tools, the prefabrication, to form, to details, erosion, use, reuse. So I'm just trying to list up perhaps how complex this is. It might seem very elegant and aesthetic appealing, but there's a lot of complexity into it. So somehow I feel there's like 3 words I would like you to perhaps talk a little bit into. And one is history. You also started by talking a little bit about history and a lost, you ended up on that note too, a lost knowledge. And then the other one is sensibility. You talked a bit about this retouching, which I think is very, so you get the human parts back into it, but you also have the complexity in the ramming and in all the technicalities. So could you talk a little bit about this dialogue between the history, the sensibility, the complexity? How do we grasp? It's a lot of elements into one piece of work, you could say.
Yeah, that is right. Also, I'm now 43 years, 43 years really make earth construction, and I was coming not from the architectural design. I was coming from the ceramic, and for me was the earth construction like macro ceramic. As the size in a ceramic, you have the maximum size is maybe 2 millimeters, or no less, and the maximal size of rammed earth is 3 centimeters. So it is a macro ceramic, and I was coming from the material, and my profession was art. And at the beginning, in the 90 and 80 years, I have started as an artist, and I have built. I named this. It is sculpture for living, because it was not allowed to build earth. For me, it was not allowed to build a house. I have no profession. I'm no contractor. I'm no architect like this. I'm a sculptor, and so I was really working. Maybe you can say, 20, 30 years illegal, like a sculpture. I built, living, sculpture for living, and as an artist, you can do so much. You can have 100 people. Doesn't matter. You can, and so I have done. And after the big project for Ricola, there was a factory, 110 meters long, 12 meter high, 30 meter wide. My insurance said, "Oh, Martin, that is no artwork anymore. You have to change. You have to get a permission to that you can I can get the insurance." So I was really in a dilemma, and then I asked the contractor, I need a license to build earth construction, and in Vorarlberg in Austria I get this license because I had 30 years experience, and now so it was possible to build this, and now we are also a contractor. And my factory, I want to say, this is not a real factory. It is a manufacture. It is we make so much experience. A factory should make a big company. They should make a factory 100, 200 meter long, and to build this is then a factory. And this was for me, because we can do a lot of this experience, because we have always learned from one building to the next building. And I have talked about today with the calculated erosion. We let erosion on the house, but it is calculated. It is planned. And for me, it is also, as a contractor or as a businessman, I think I have also created the calculated risk, because it is always possible or necessary to have a small risk, to look over the window a little bit, out of the window, but not so much that you fall down. But if you don't look out of the window, if you don't look in future, there is no innovation. So that is, and I think this is the reason, because I had the possibility to produce so much buildings, and I work with a lot of artists and architects together. We are plan together sometimes. We make only planning from the earth construction, and we are also the producer if there is no company.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about this license and all these regulations that we also as architects need to tap into, it of course create a challenge. Yeah. And I also know that you are all the time, you are creating a new production line. And one of the things is that in my talk with Jomo, we also talked a lot about the characteristics of materials that changes from place to place. So what I would like to get a little bit closer to is that maybe the future of production, because we talk also about scaling up, is different when we see the materials as you do. Like, you see the value of the properties, but the properties and the form, the geometry of the stones, of everything can change from every place, from every 2 meters, actually. Right. So for me, it seems like you are moving into a different kind of thinking in terms of production, because it's always somehow relational to the place where you excavate, right? And just to perhaps to all the students that might not know all these details into the soil and the combination, every time you need to make a new test and you need to figure out what are the strengths here and so on, and is this really, could this be used differently? So it seems like to me that it's a constant experimentation and also a new way of production, perhaps.
Yeah, there is the basic of this part is Erfahrung is the experience from the project. And if you can feel it, if you looked at and so on, I say it is also maybe if we have our boots on the ground, or like a farmer, it's if they really work with the earth, they know the soil and everything, and so if also in the earth construction, I know, now I have also in my company very good members. They can do the same what I have done for 5 and 10 years, to go on a site, to test, to look. Then we bring the material to Schlinz, we make the experience, we have the excavation, then we make a small mix like to cook, and then we make a test, and then we know this is this strange, and it is this experience should be always get more, and then and the test is important that you have a number for the feeling, and I think it is only a part of it takes time, and a lot of company if they have the right skilled workers, that is the big problem. We have not enough skilled workers for that bigger company can invest in earth construction, because it is, and yes, I think it is not hard to learn it. It takes maybe only time and experience. It is no Zauber. No. It's a German word, Zauber.
Well, I do think in some extent that at least, I had a student, Johan Kleis, and he went to your place, and he came back, and now he did a factory in Denmark. So he is starting at least. But I also see some of the challenges, especially with the quality and the edges, and you have these big elements, and they're super beautiful, but they're also fragile somehow. So there's this contrast in working with it. Super exciting, but also when you work with clients, as you also talked a bit about, there's a lot of risk, and there's another story to tell here, I guess.
I think always, I know from all my experience, it is more difficult to sell a wall, earth wall, as to build an earth wall. We have every month, every week, every year, we have 5, 10, 20, 30 projects. We start for planning, talking, and from 5 big projects, only maximum 1 is really at least realized. And also for the architects, I think it is sustainable to build in earth. It is quite. It's easy to write a mail. We want to build in earth. Is it possible? How much costs? And like this, and like the plan to research in the internet to find the material, but in earth construction is not so easy. And as an architect, you know really who is really interested in this material. It takes sometimes a lot of work, and it is not comfortable for an architect to design in earth construction. It is really a very challenge. It is hard work to deal with this, to plan with this, and so this is the reason, because from a lot of interest, only very small is really realized. But I talk always, it is really necessary that all the planner, all the clients, and all the companies has to be responsibility of the sustainable way. That is important, and what is now that really in the young generation, there is a lot of interest, because for this solution with earth construction, And because they know, we know everybody, that 45% from the carbon emission is coming from the building industry. You know everything, these problems, and we need to find solutions. And the earth construction is really the champion of sustainable building system. It is the champion. That is true, and we know how to make it. We can learn it, but we have to do it. And so I believe for the scaling up the earth construction, because what I said, we had a long time with everything is new, everything was new is better as the old. And for me, it is not so that we should come back to the earth construction in a nostalgic way, sondern it is come back to the best solution for future.
I definitely also believe that we can scale up.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just a bit critical about how we scale up, because it's not like today when we talk about scaling up something, it's often about standardization. It has to be the same thickness, it is the same, as slim as possible, and everything has to be the same. And this is why I actually find this super interesting, this where the material give you perhaps some friction or some resistance in terms of maybe the production in Vorarlberg is slightly different from the production in Denmark, because we have rounded stones, you have stones with edges, and all kinds of other combinations. So I'm just curious about whether this can actually teach us a little bit about be more aware of materials are different from different places. So global production is no longer perhaps so interesting. So I definitely believe in scaling up, but we have to understand the term scaling up, perhaps.
Yeah, that is for 40 years I have started with earth construction in Vorarlberg, and I was always looking for, was earth construction a traditional building system in Vorarlberg? I couldn't find earth construction houses in Vorarlberg, and I look, in Switzerland I have find something, but at the beginning I was really a little bit curious. Is it allowed to bring a building system from Africa to Vorarlberg or to Europe? And if and then for that I was Lehm Ton Erde created, because my professor don't like the earth construction. He said I should make a tea service for a diploma work. So it was really not easy for me, but then I see that earth construction was in Europe a traditional building system. We have million of houses in earth construction, and there I was questioned why we don't build any more with earth. And this has me push up. I will to develop this. I will find a new modern design for earth construction. And this is combination from the material, ceramic from Africa. And also in Vorarlberg we had a very open architectural design. The client was really, they take risiko, and we had a lot of, maybe the potential, the architectural potential in Vorarlberg was a very good place to find new solutions. So it was really, I'm happy about this.
Yes. I can understand. It's also a quite impressive office you have made there. But one of perhaps the other things is that I've talked a lot about or reflected on in my research into to what can be regenerative, is that often we are met with not necessarily that this house feels good to be in, it's nice to live in, but it's more about the data we can deliver. The CO2 emissions is one thing, and another thing could be U values, energy consumption. But there's very little talk about the experience. And one of the things that Jomo also sort of said to me was, but have you first lived in a house like this? You're not in doubt of whether you want to live in this house. And I live in a wooden house, and I'm not in doubt of it's also a very good house to live in. What I'm questioning a little bit here is that it seems to be that everything has to be measurable before we believe it. That's sort of the tendency in regulations, in standardizations, in the world, basically. Our clients would like us to document everything. What do you think about this tendency? What can we do in the future? Because I definitely believe that the felt experience is just as important as the measured one.
I said in the lecture that the building, the project in the hospital, this artwork, this is the most in Belgium. It was the most challenge work for me, the most important work of me, because it was in the 90 years where and because on this wall, every people of Vorarlberg walk sometimes on this wall as a patient or as a visitor, and they could touch it. And I have so much people, I want to have this wall, such a wall in my living space. Or we had, or in St. Gerald, he was the priest was coming there to me. Is it possible to have earth construction in a cemetery? So, because he was visit this wall, and that's what I say. And now we had to make about 18 cemeteries with earth construction. And in the cemetery, the earth construction is not a building material, it is a small material, but it is really big project. I have not shown pictures about this. So what I want to say is the experience is a lot of important. The project, we have to make a project, it's a light tower project, and after 5 years, a lot of ideas from different architectures, from Herzog de Moreau, from Brothauser, from everybody. A lot of our artists has think about this, and it was always through waves like this, and it takes always a new solution. And now, also always more companies are coming. And they find the interest. But what is the problem from the companies is that they have not enough skilled workers. They have no experts. That is the problem, because from where comes the expert? Because earth construction is no profession. As a profession, yes. As all our experts in our company, we have learned themselves. We have no experts. I never have experts from another company to get to our company. And for that it is also important the schools, the architectural science school, to learn, to have more experience with this. And also it is important to get some norms. because norms is important that big factory can create earth construction safely. On the other side, I'm a little bit critical about norms because norms sometimes it stops innovation.
Yeah.
Because if I've said before, at the first I built in art, I could do everything.
Yeah.
And if I am a contractor, I have to do. This is so. But we will find a good solution, I think, because it is necessary now to create a good solution for sustainable building system.
But I think you are underpinning completely the necessity of art in combination with construction and material knowledge and of course also science in some extent. So it's very crucial that all these elements are in play, I think, and the experimentation, obviously.
And also for me, it's very interesting is to create machineries, create tools. Also this all Roberta 1, Roberta 2. This is really a unique machine. It is never. But the potential of this machine should do. Bigger company. But the problem is the bigger company won't invest in this because there is not enough volume. Because the building volume, the interest, or the Angebot, or the Nachfrage, also that is everything to scale up. Everything has to grow up in the same time. It's the development, Forschung, also
the research.
The research, the education,
Yes.
And the norms, and also the Rahmenbedingungen. Also that's from the economic this framing. Because the problem is that the human work is too expensive in our countries.
Yes.
So that is also a big issue.
I think I have asked you a lot of questions here. I was wondering if there's someone out there who is burning with a question. Just, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for a very interesting presentation. Really nice to see. But I can also see that you now have worked with the ramming of the earth, and then now you start work together with wood, which is another natural material. But also seeing in what we have in today is we have a lot of material that has been used. For example, a lot of bricks, which some places are taken down. Have you looked into like combining old construction materials into the rammed earth? Because of course you have some limitations on the primary you can do here is compressive strength, not a lot of tension. But I think it's all about the engineering part and the architectural part to make that work together. But maybe a lot of bricks could be reused, so to speak.
Also we have I have a lot of projects where we use recycled bricks, also crushed bricks, as a like gravel, because it is. We have John Taki in England, a wonderful project. It was a brickyard, a old one. They have destroyed the brickyard, and we have separated the brick, the concrete, and the clay was on the side from the brick, and we mixed only with this local material, also with the crushed bricks, crushed concrete and also the crushed soft concrete for the kilns and so on. And it is possible to build with this recycling material from the side. And we have, it is a very important material. And for us, it's always important that we know that we have, also for me it's important, a clear biography of the material. Also I don't like to use crushed material from recycling material where I don't know what is the pollution or like this. If I know this is really a good material, clean, and then that is wonderful.
So it's the bricks that are not usable anymore that you can crush and then add in the construction.
Also that is also important. Also the potential of earth construction. I have not shown our pictures. We make a lot of floors. Also because floor, like the ceiling, is the floor a lot of material. You know, this is cement estrich. There are some pipes in there for heating, and if you destroy it, these pipes, everything, you have to crash. You cannot separate it. If this would be a rammed earth wall, you can separate it, and the pipe you can reuse it, and that is and it is. And you can recycle it. The reuse building material is a important issue also for future. We know, but it is also, it has it is not so easy there. But if you use rammed earth, you can crash this or break down because it is not so hard. You can separate it very easily, and you can build with this material new blocks. So this is you use not the blocks, you use the material. So that's the idea.
Yeah. There's one more over here. I'll come with this.
Hello. I was wondering what the legal approval process has been like for getting these construction materials and the process approved in the various municipalities that the projects take place in.
That is interesting questions. We have built in Germany, in Italy, in Switzerland. And everywhere you have different regulations. In Austria and in Switzerland, it was the easiest way because I need only one engineer who believes, who has a good calculation, and he is signing. Then I can build it. In Germany, we need 2 engineers, and we need, if it's a big, some high, it needs Zustimmung Einzelfall, a license for only for this project. And it is a little bit expensive, and this is the first border not to use this or so like this. And in Italy, it is absolutely not possible to build earth construction as a structural design. But there are 100,000 of building load buried in earth construction. 2005, the parliament has decided earth construction as an earth material is not allowed as a structural design. It is impossible to change this. And we are in Europe. And I don't know the regulation in Denmark, but we are in Europe, but we have so much different regulations. In Australia, there is a lot of stabilized rammed earth. I had a client there, we have make consulting there, and he built a house with no stabilization, no cement. He needs a license, Zustimmung Einzelfall, because he built a house without cement. And in Morocco, in Morocco, a lot of rammed earth houses. If the farmer built their own houses in his village, he can build like the old system. If architect, and in Morocco there are 2,000 architects, if one architect wants to build in the village and not stabilized earth house, it is not allowed. It is not allowed. That is the problem. So, and this discussion for stabilized and not stabilized, we have not talked about this today. Yeah. But this is a big issue. If you go into internet, there is over 50% of named earth construction is stabilized. And for me, is stabilized earth construction, no earth construction. It is like in USA, they have created, it is dirty rammed concrete. Rammed concrete is a wonderful building system, but don't use the name rammed earth. Then it is okay. That is the problem.
I agree completely in that sense, and you could also ask why, and I think you also just did. Why would you add cement to it if it's able to be load bearing without? Maybe it's norms and so on, but then you could make the concrete super slim instead. So it doesn't make sense in earth construction to talk about this, but and I'm sure everyone now knows that you work without stabilizers in your way and your technique in that sense. I'm not completely sure where we are in Denmark with the regulations, but we are just beginning. We have the first house in partially. I think it's the wooden construction that is the load bearing, so it's fillings for like a half timber work. So we're not so far in that sense, but at least it's beginning. At least the technique, the craftsmanship, as you said, it takes time, because I visited the site and the craftsmen were just like, yes, this is not so easy and so on, and they're not happy in the beginning, and so there's obviously quite a lot of challenges in terms of regulation. But at some point, when I was asking a lot of questions about this and research, one told me maybe we should ask the engineers to research in safety factors and norms instead of us trying to develop the impossible in terms of structural strength and so on. We work today with enormously high safe factors, right. and even the engineers would, I think, if there's anyone here, they would perhaps agree with me to a certain extent. So we of course have to discuss from each case, and I think that's also where I'm trying to go, is saying there's not one size for everything. There are different materials with different properties, and it changes every time we move to a different context. Is there anyone more burning? There's one question down here. Carolina?
Thank you very much for the lecture and sharing your work and thoughts with us. I was just wondering, how do you deal with soil pollution? Because soil pollution. Soil pollution. Because it seems like number says that 80% of the soils are polluted today, and the ones that are not polluted that are natural reserves. So how do you work with the pollution of the earth?
Yeah, as I said before here, for me it's the very important the biography of the material, and maybe in the mountain I have it a little bit easier. If I know, if I dig out here, and I know that here there is no pollution because it is near the mountain, and you can deal with this. And sometimes we make make analysis. Maybe radon is then you can make it a very. We can send a small part of this earth to a laboratory. It costs not a lot. You can then you know there is no radion pollution or like this. If it's I think if we look at the biography of the material, we can deal very well with this. So that's. I think it is not another issue like if it's concrete or something or like this.
But I guess we also have a lot of places for perhaps polluted rammed earth, perhaps along roads, noise walls. There's a lot of places where we actually could replace, perhaps instead of seeing it as a deposit somewhere where it doesn't harm anything and it will off-gas over time, I suspect. So I guess there are different ways, but it's definitely a relevant question in terms of, I think most land in Denmark has been used and reused, so we might have...
the problem is more the pollution of the agriculture industry. Yeah. That is another issue. And that's what I say. I said that for me it's very important to use only material if this goes back to the earth, the water is not polluted with this. That is like a very important rule, I think so. And there it is, that is, but now we come too much in this issue, because the problem of concrete, I want to say, if the concrete for 30, 50 years, it was much healthier as today. Because all the material, concrete, what we transport to pump up, there is so much chemical in there. There is 5% chemical that you can pump, that you can transport, that it get not so hard, so quick hard, and this is also a very problem from the pollution. If rammed earth, if we make an excavation, we can make this ready mix, hundreds of tons. We cover this with sheets that it don't dry out, and we can use it months, 100 days, years. There is no problem. So this is, for me, it is always fascinated that we can really use with earth, we can really build healthy building. And we cannot change too much here in Europe or like this, because we are so, it is very difficult to change, to scale up. But if I look in other countries, maybe Africa or China, we know in China from 2010 to 2013, they have used more concrete as USA in the last 100 years. Or if this country, Africa, is growing up, they have to build in future so much. And if they build really in the same system we are here in the that is the problem. And so that is the things that we have really create healthy houses, nice houses, energetic, good houses, that in this country, because you can build in earth in this country, not because it is saves pollution or like this or carbon, these things. You have to to make example that it is healthy, it is nice, it is beauty, and it saves energy, because in this country the climatization is the big problem, not the heating, the climatization. If you use thick wall, it is much more comfortable. The people know that.
So you change
yeah.
the environment,
Yeah.
the indoor environment, so you actually don't have that fluctuation of outside, inside all the time. So it stabilizes your indoor climate and the thermal comfort. And I think that's underestimated at all today when you calculate buildings.
I hope that this scale-up earth construction should really be in this country. And for us, it's very important that we have, that we collaborate with the know-how on there, with our know-how, with experience. That is the very important part for the future.
I think at some point in my conversation with Jomo, I was sort of saying, so what does the future look like? And he said, maybe we become the think tank of the rest of Europe. And I think that's a very nice thought. If you have, I don't know if there's any more question. It seems like there's no hands up. So if you have a last thing you would like to say, or otherwise...
I have to say so much.
Yes,
parts.
that's also okay.
And I have, I think it is. If I look back and I look in future, there I think there is so much change, and what I think is very positive, because. I believe to the human positivism, because now it is very difficult, because we are really so much informations and bad informations, and that you can really get depressed or like this. But I think we should be active, that we should think, we should really be creating in the thinking, and have more trust to new solutions in earth construction and like this, and I think it will. I say I know that I said it before. Earth construction was a material for crisis. We have now a crisis, but in the Renaissance of earth construction, after the Second War, after the First War, because there was also economic crisis, it was grow up. There was 1949, we had a DIN norm in Germany for earth construction.
Yeah.
It was stopped with no. It was stopped in 1971, because we don't need this norm anymore. And now we have to find new norms like this. And this this Renaissance was always stopped, but now I can feel a renaissance of earth construction worldwide, and I think this is not to stop anymore.
I completely agree. On that note, I think I would like to thank you very much for coming today. It was a pleasure, and thank you for answering all these questions and the talks. And I promise to say that Live Terrains is back in the new year. So thank you very much for today.